And let's see who we have in the chat. Welcome, Sister Bless from a very windy London. Okay, wonderful. Glad to have you here again today. So wonderful to be on with you every day. Welcome, Lynn in Washington. And let's see who we have in the Okay, welcome, Scylla in Toronto, Maureen in Maine. And a note to everybody in the chat, please be sure to select panelists and attendees from the blue drop-down when you're commenting, because if it only says panelists above your comment, then only me and Leslie can see your comment. Louisa must be near London as well. Crazy wind there too. Welcome, Vanya in Wales. Welcome, Marina in Sweden.
Beautiful.
Welcome, Valerie in Ireland. Louisa, sun going in Gemini. Yes. Yes. And a lot of other energy in Gemini already. Okay, wonderful. Welcome, everybody. And welcome to our YouTube audience. Woohoo. So glad to have you there on YouTube as well. So let me introduce Leslie to you all. There's my notes. Okay, wonderful. So Leslie Nolan is an entrepreneur, visionary artist, motivational speaker, and founder of Leslie Nolan Design. She works with creative entrepreneurs who have lost their mojo and inspirational vision and helps them reclaim their power so they can find the courage to create their great work. Her years of experience and success radiate when she speaks on vision, mojo, and how creativity and consciousness manifest through the inquiry of intentional creativity. And that's what I know we're going to explore a bit today.
Yes.
Exciting. She inspires pathways to problem solving, creative breakthrough, and fosters healing and clarity as inspired in the lecture, lab, studio, or workshop. Through the magic of painting, she helps clients uncover their true genius so they can stand empowered and shine. She mentors and shares her knowledge, giving workshops, visiting schools and colleges, teaching privately, and assisting online educational programs to a worldwide audience. Her intentional creativity teaching has inspired adults and children alike. Leslie is a contemporary symbolist whose visionary paintings have been showcased at the United Nations World Conference for Women Against Violence. Among other amazing places, let's see, the Museum of Contemporary Art in New York brought her group to participate in a collaborative art project for the Draftmen's Congress with Powell Althamer. Wow, amazing, Leslie. This is wonderful. So your topic for today is co-creating with the divine. And so can you share with us to start out, Leslie, what is mojo?
Mojo. So mojo is an African word, and it's aligned with Fulani or Mako'o, medicine man. And it's basically, I would say, a life force energy. In our society, we frequently will say it as a kind of spark or even sex appeal or attraction. And I believe your mojo is kind of like the thing that runs you, the thing that sparks you up. You know, you feel it in your body, it runs through your heart and your mind. It's what excites you about your life and your passions and your purpose. So as an entrepreneur and a creative, and I've been independent all these years, I've had my own dips and valleys of having my mojo, losing my mojo, sharing my mojo, creating mojo, and losing it again and finding it again. So I've always have gone to my creative process as a way to reinstill that and spark it back into my life.
Beautiful. And what is intentional creativity?
Intentional creativity is when you take your intention or your desire and you infuse it into the thing that you create. So whether you're creating a piece of artwork, a dance, a soup, if you're lovemaking or gardening, or even doing some exercise, it's all starting with the intention first. It's the creative act that is almost like the thread through, and that continues to run through the work even after you've begun or ended the process. It continues. It continues. It's something alive, I believe.
Yes, right. I'm sure that it keeps growing because there are many ways to set an intention, and to set an intention through our creative expression. Like, what an amazing way to share that intention, tell it to the universe, right?
It is, because when you are, once you've said it, there's a few things you need to do. You have to make sure that it's in, it's in the positive, it's current, it's stated in the I am. You want to make sure that your wording is correct. You are actually asking the divine for help as you're doing this work. So it's almost a call and response. You are setting the intention, putting out into the universe, and something meets you halfway and assists you in that process. And it's a very beautiful thing.
Yeah, really beautiful. And so we've talked, Leslie, you and I have talked, and you've attended our dream symposium with me and Taria Ward, who's going to be on later today as well. And I know you work with your clients quite a bit in painting their dreams, right, or expressing their dreams in their artwork. So could you share a
Yes,
little bit about the power of that work?
sure. So, what I'd like to say about that is that our visionary prowess is a very beautiful birthright that we have. Whether we are doing it in meditation, whether it's a led and guided imagery, or active imagination, that's one way we can get it. Another way we can get it is outside in nature as we are just walking around or laying in the grass where you are, which I was very jealous as I saw you there. Like, oh, it looks so nice and warm. I'd like to
Yeah.
be there right now. Um, you might see signs and symbols in nature. Some beautiful animals might come their way. And then also dreams are so potent because they're individual to us. When we go deep inside for the imagery, it's, for me, it's so personal. So any symbols that I see or actions that happen in my dream are potent images that are reflecting all the information through my waking life. And the mind and the spirit come up with some very unusual symbols that we would never pick in our waking life. Even as an artist, sometimes we go for the most relevant symbol, and our dream life does this sneaky little backdoor thing with these images that we're like, what the what,
Mhm.
what did that mean, or what was that all about? It could be much more mysterious and a little bit deeper. So I love to be able to incorporate the dream work in with the painting sessions that I do with the clients. So it's kind of like a weave. The best way I could describe it is um, we start here in the 3D, talking about the work that we want to do and setting our intention. We then have the 2D of the panel of the painting, which creates kind of a gateway to another place, to almost a parallel reality,
Mhm.
right? So we're entering in and through the painting, but then we go internally to either set our intention and, do some kind of meditation work or visual imagination. So we're going inside and then putting it out onto the canvas, back into the 2D, which is going into another portal, right? And
Yeah.
then at a certain point, our canvas then might tell us something, and it comes back into our eyes, which we internalize. And we say, oh, I see that symbol there. And then we put it back into the painting. And then that night we might have a dream of something. And from that internal dream, we put it back into the painting. And then at a certain point, our painting might say, hey, I really want this other image to come into the painting. So it's this kind of interesting weave of the internal and the external in creating this piece of artwork that is going through different timelines, different parallel realities, and then creating a new one, which is this piece of artwork. So when it's infused in this way, it's for me, it's such a deep process and so meaningful. And I find that the painting over time unpacks for me, meaning I might have been aware initially of what my intention was that I was working on at the beginning. But 6 months to a year later, the symbol that I made on the canvas, I wasn't really quite clear of, becomes relevant in my life then. That gives me a deeper meaning of what my original intention is. So it's very beautiful. The process is exquisite. It's not only, it's the process of making the art, but it's also, once you have the product of the painting, it continues to educate and inform you. So that's why I love working with intention, and this idea of co-designing or co-creating with the divine is, it's so much bigger. It's so much bigger than just me. And so I'm just open to receive the messages that continue to come through the piece of art. I hope that understands. It's very deep, but I just love it.
Yeah, I can tell from what you're saying that there are just so many deeper layers that move through and that appear, or more dreams that appear, or more symbols. It's just really amazing to tap into our subconscious, and even like the subconscious of the universe right around us, the external reality around us. It's full of symbolism, um, through this way of working with the dreams in paintings. Really amazing. And I'm so excited that you'll be sharing more deeply about these kind of creative processes in the Stargate, in the year-long program that's coming up, which I haven't officially announced yet, but everybody on, you're going to get a sneak peek of that today, because Leslie is one of our first teachers coming up in the Stargate. She's going to teach in July, so very excited for you to share more of this deeper work with us then, Leslie.
Thanks, Jocelyn. I am too.
Yeah, really exciting. Well, so what would you say for people who are thinking, but I can't draw, I can't even draw. Well, how could I paint? Or, I'm not talented creatively. So
Yes.
what would you say to
Okay,
those?
there's a few things in there. So the first part is you don't have to be an artist to be creative. I'm saying a technical artist. I think that we're all artists in a certain way. We're designing our life. We're designing our day. We're designing our workload. We're putting on clothing and, designing our homes. And I think in some ways we all have creative and artistic parts of ourselves, and some folks are just waiting for that to be unleashed. And I encourage that creativity in any way in your life, and especially with all the things that are going on in the world, what we need is creative solutions. So the more we work this muscle of creativity, the easier it becomes to solve problems. So, this intentional creativity can use both the left and the right brain, because sometimes we do some writing, sometimes we do some art making, and you're using one side of the brain and the other side of the brain, and it's creating these new neurotransmitters. So those connections are important for this problem solving, and also for seeing things differently and opening up possibility in your life. The other part that you said in there is, frequently when we do creative processes or we do something new, when we say we're not good enough, it's that little sneaky inner critic. And we usually deal with that right at the beginning of painting. So we have our muse, which comes through our painting, but we also have the critic who will say, I don't like how this looks. I don't know how to draw a face. I've never done a person before. And, as simple as a cave painting, which is just a hand, we still see that hand and know that what that hand is, or what those sketches are. They might be crude. It's just about the expression. It's about the symbol. So you don't have to have any previous experience, or you could have a PhD in, teaching and abstract art, or, any level is acceptable. And it's especially very fulfilling for those folks who have not done artwork or have forgotten about artwork in their life. So we deal with the critic, and sometimes we'll say to our critic, why don't you just go outside and count some grass blades today? It's a really nice day while I paint. You have to actually tell that part of your mind to go away for a little while. So it encourages that muse that you want to play with. So those are some of the first steps. And it's a big permission piece, because in our culture, we are frequently not encouraged to be creative. It's so sad. I mean, it is really our birthright. And it's such a fulfilling and fun process. Um, Frequently, they'll say that there's might be diminished thinking that there's not value in it, but it is value. Spirit is value. You know, it's what life is made up of. Every single thing that we see is made of spirit, concretized here. So playing in this playland, which is so creative and plastic and moving, is having you become, or me as the artist, I am the creator, working with the creator in this space of this two-dimensional space with color and words and images. And it's just so incredibly fulfilling.
So beautiful. Well, so you were talking about co-creating with the divine, and we're here in this Aquarian Wisdom Festival to really think about how can we build, architect the bright and vibrant future that we wish to see, and we all need to be a part of that. All of us who are willing, all of us who have our hearts open, we need to be a part of that. So how can we tap into this co-creation with the divine in order to help us, guide us in building the new paradigm?
So yeah, so it's very simple. It's first, visioning what is it that you want. How would you like the world to be? How would you like to see it? Just taking something very simple, and it could just be starting with the intention itself. The intention itself is so powerful, and we forget there. It's got to come from a place of resonance in your heart. The thing with intentional creativity is not only is the intention have to be positive, but if you have and hold the resonance in your body, especially through your heart, that this is something that you want to create, all you have to do is kind of ask for it. And it's by setting that intention. It's just a simple request. It could be, saying, show me the way to create this, or I am this. When you have that statement, it's so powerful and it's so simple. And then you start to see that the thing that you want to create is hearing your call, and it's being attracted to that call that you state, or that thing that you do. It's so very, very simple. Sometimes we think it's all too complicated and something outside of us, but it's a very, very simple thing that starts internally. And I hope that answers that question.
Yeah, really beautiful. And then when we write something down or repaint or draw something, it's starting to create it into physical reality, right? It's like, first of all, it has to form in our imagination, and then it can come into our thoughts and our words, and then we can put it into physical reality through writing or painting, and each of these steps is critically important to making it more and more real. So
Yes, it is with, you said voice. So what I'm playing with a lot these days is a voice, which is a vibration, and vision, which is also a vibration through color. So there is an interweave between these worlds. So it's stating things in the positive and being very careful of my speech, which I'm working on. It's a constant process. How I say things, what I say, the tone in which I say it, and it's a vibration as well as the images that are coming into my mind and what I'm feeding my imagination. As a artist and a sensitive being, I want to be careful about what I'm feeding my imagination. What I'm looking at through media is very important to me. You know, being able to reunite through nature and the vibration there is very important. And then being able to express it, this unleashing and this expression of what we're consuming and taking in is so important. We need to give it out. We need to share it. We need to share our thoughts. We need to share our voice. The more I share my voice, the more I am sharing my thoughts, the more it is coming into reality, the more things are being manifest. So it's a beautiful kind of weave between the two.
Yes, wonderful. Well, I have one more question for you before we move into the workshop part of
Okay.
your presentation here. You're a contemporary symbolist in your own artwork. Can you tell us a
Yes.
little bit about that, and what is the what is the thought or the theory behind that kind of work?
Sure. So I could talk a little bit, and I'll talk about the piece behind me, which is also an interesting kind of call it the divine marriage. So that's the, you know, marriage between the sacred feminine and the sacred masculine. So you know, the thought behind there is when we're connected to source, and in this painting, the feminine is connected by the moon, the masculine is connected by the sun. When we are connected to source, and we're bringing that, you know, through us, through our thoughts and through our bodies, um, nature or the surrounding area, in a sense, is, I'm saying, is pouring these energies through, and it's kind of creating a third energy, or in this case, in this particular painting, between the two people. It's creating the balance, almost a sense of, I have Solomon's seal there, the star of um, creating the third entity. So it's our minds are aligned, our voices are aligned, our hearts are aligned, our sacral chakras are aligned, our hands are aligned, and it's creating this third being or this third thing. And in the study of physics, and in probability, here in Princeton, the International Consciousness Research Lab did many studies about people using intention to create probability outcomes. And they found that women are better at it than men,
Hmm.
but bonded couples are the best at
Oh, fascinating.
creating. Yeah, it's fascinating. So it's the bonded couples that are the best in creating these outcomes. So I use symbol in a way that is basically just describing energies. I believe spirit is energy. I believe we're made up of energy. And so it kind of utilizes the concepts of um, all my studies in Kabbalah or Munaki, my upbringing in even Catholicism, as ways of expressing these energies of the divine. Um, and I'm hoping that that's answering the question. It's also one of those things that you could talk about for a really long time.
Yes, I hear you. Well, thank you for sharing with us
Sure.
that little bit of it. Well, let's move into the workshop portion here. And
Okay.
so I know you need to take a little time to explain it and let people know about supplies, and everybody, no pressure if you don't have the
Yes.
supplies, because you can,
Yes.
I'm sure they could sketch now, right? And then fill in later with more supplies.
Yes, I'm going to, I'll tell you what supplies that you can gather, and then I'll go into the art process. And if you don't have the supplies, that's okay. You can do it later. I kept really pared it down as a very simple exercise. But I'm going to use watercolor paper and a glass of water. And because we're the Aquarian Festival, I thought I'd use, you know, water as the theme. And we're going to add a little bit of salt. So we got a little water. We got some minerals in there of the earth. The papers are wood. You might be able to use some breath in there as wind, and maybe 1 or 2 paint brushes. I just have the size. And I have the water, and then I've got, and you could have watercolor, or I just picked 2 colors, a green and a blue.
And what kind of, those are watercolor?
Yeah, this one is Hydrus watercolor. It doesn't have to be this brand. It could even be a little watercolor palette. But it should be a water-based medium. This is a very old bottle from like 1981 from Dr. Martin Dyes when I was in
Oh, wow.
at Pratt College. This is what's left of it. I've kept the label on, you know. I just rehydrated it. There's still some color in the bottle. So, and you might want to, if you have, it could be later, you'll need a Sharpie, and or if you have a calligraphy pen or marker for later. So we're just keeping it really simple, or you could just watch this process if you don't have these supplies, and you can purchase them pretty inexpensively at a store or near you.
Okay, wonderful. Well, everybody
Okay.
go and grab the supplies that you want to use, any of those that you have. And yeah, we'll just give you a couple minutes to do that, and then
Yes.
Leslie can begin sharing the
And
process.
yes, and you want to have about a teaspoon to a tablespoon of salt in the
Okay.
water. And just stir it up. And I see I have some other little floating things. I put too much salt on because I tested this out last night, Jocelyn. I left my salt container open wide. And when I went to put some salt in my avocado this morning, it dumped out in the avocado. So I'm like,
Jeez.
I'm going to add some more of that salt to my salt water. So now I'm seeing like these little avocado floating particles in my watercolor glass over here.
It's avocado water, a whole new recipe.
All part of the process. Things we
Well,
do.
what does avocado symbolize? There might be something important there.
I don't know. That's a good question.
Reminds me of the rainforest.
Yeah, maybe something tropical, some tropical places. Certainly I'd like to visit soon, hopefully. Would you like me to begin, or should you want to wait a little bit more?
Let's wait like another 30 seconds in case people are running to get supplies. And I think I'm going to turn off my video and go in and grab the supplies while you're sharing.
Okay.
So I can listen and get them at the same time.
Okay.
If I was in Maryland, I'd have all of those because of my kids' art supplies.
Oh,
Here,
where
I'll
are
be a
you?
little more limited. I'm in Asheville right now.
Oh, you were in Asheville. Very nice. I'm glad you're living your dream.
It is amazing
Yes,
here.
right?
It's where I am here. It's this extremely biodiverse
How
place.
nice.
And there's mountains I can see all around. It's just every day I wake up here. I'm so
Oh, how
deep in
lovely.
gratitude to be here. Yeah.
That's beautiful. Do you want to talk about your intention with that? That's an intention you set.
Yeah, actually, that's a really good one to tap into.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I would say my intention, well, this is also a rental, and there's some concern that I might not be able to stay in the rental if they sell it, and there's this kind of thing going on. So my prayer, I've been speaking to the earth a lot here, and my prayer, my intention is to be able to stay in this beautiful house on this beautiful land and just spend more and more time in this place and bring my kids here more and more often, really make this my home base. So
Beautiful.
that is my
And so it
true
is.
heartfelt intention.
Yes, and so it is. I mean, you're already there, so that's half of it, I think.
Yes,
Right?
yes,
That's
I
half
can
of it being there.
really connect with the earth here and set these intentions very strongly.
I'd like to visit. I have a friend down there one day. I hear it's just gorgeous.
It is, it really is. Yeah, if you're ever around here, definitely let me know.
I will.
Yeah.
It will be
Well,
fun
I
to
think
visit.
probably everybody's had enough time. I'm going to turn off my video, like I said, and go grab some supplies, but go right ahead
Okay.
and start sharing with us how we should proceed.
Okay, I'm going to start with just a very short guided meditation. So if everyone can just take a deep breath in and out. One more deep breath in. And as you breathe out, feel that energy just go through your body, down your legs. Feel your feet connected to the earth. And as you are in this place within, just think about one simple thing that you would like to intend or ask for some co-creation help. What is the one thing you want to design in your life, in your work, or how would you like to tap into this creative aspect of yourself? Just breathe and let that idea come to you. Now think about that intention of what you want to co-create. And as you breathe, hold it in your heart. You could even put your hands on your heart. Breathing in. And just feeling what it would feel like to have that experience in your life. Just as Jocelyn was so excited and could feel the earth under her feet, say to yourself, I intend, I am creating, and feel right in your heart that beautiful essence of what it is that you want to co-create with the universe. Imagine it is already here and it is already happening. Another deep breath in. Take it in all through your body. As you're breathing out, imagine it. You're starting the call and response. And on a piece of paper, you can even write down what that intention is. Take some time, and it could just be one sentence. Okay, so hopefully you've caught it. Here's mine. Just wrote it on a piece of paper. I am co-creating a beautiful, creative, fulfilled life with the divine. Okay. So now if you do have watercolor paper, what we do is we usually put our hands on it here. Now, if it were a canvas, we might take that intention and write it on the canvas. But we will be writing it on our watercolor paper later. But first, I just want you to, that beautiful heartfelt feeling that you had, just infuse it right in here into the paper with your hands. As if I already am there. I am. Okay. And now this is very simple. You want to get your water, and you want to have at least a tablespoon of your salt mixed in. And we could do the same thing here. I'm sure you are familiar with Dr. Emoto's work. I saw him down in Virginia Beach many years ago. And you can even infuse this water. I am co-designing a beautiful, fulfilled life with the divine. And fill up this cup of water with your heart intentions. You can even bring the cup right to your heart. I co-design a beautiful creative life with the divine. I am co-creating a beautiful life with the divine. Okay, now our water is infused. Now you could take your larger brush, just dip it in the water, and I might bring the paper down. I'm going to do this. I might bring the paper up. Let's see. But you're just going to want to stay in the middle of your pad, and we're just going to put this salt water on your pad, okay? Now don't go to the edges, leave a little room for some gaps. You want a little bit of puddling, but not too much. I'm sure you can see it, yeah. Here in the light, yeah, you can see it right there. Made a little puddle of water. I might use my breath now, and using my breath too, I'm thinking about my intention, and we're breathing life onto this canvas. I'm co-creating a beautiful, creative, fulfilled life with the divine. Maybe some of your water's dripping and moving around a little bit. You don't want it to be too wet, but you want just a little bit of puddling, as you see here. Okay, put this down for a second. Now take your first watercolor paint. I've got some blue, and I've got some green. And you could try either size brush. And I'm just going to, just dip a little bit or load up my brush. So you might have a watercolor palette. And I'm just going to kind of dot it on some different places. Now, because of the salt, this is going to spread a little bit. I'm just going to add a little more paint right on a little bit of water. I'm going to just touch it again. And I'm just going to bring it around to some different places. You can see.
That's so cool, Leslie. Could you hold it up
right?
a little higher in the screen?
Yes.
You can see a little more. There we go. Yes. Oh, that's so beautiful.
So, it's kind of like naturally spreading across the canvas. I'm going to just dip my brush into the second color. I'm going to do the same thing. Just little dots. I want to kind of integrate it around. Almost feels like we're creating a little world here, right? Bring some to the top. Can even let some of the energies of gravity help you out. You could twist it, you could turn it, let it kind of run. Gonna add some more, just the wet, larger paintbrush. I want to have some color in here. I want to have a feeling that this is moving around. I want to break up some of these little tighter areas because I like this feeling of it blooming. And I also like a little bit of dripping. I don't want it to be too wet. And you could just squeegee your paintbrush a little bit if you want to close up some of these areas. I like some of this white kind of gapping. I think it's kind of pretty. I'm going to bring this, it seems this is going to let it run down this way. I don't want it too wet, but this is good. Yeah, nice. Maybe a little more green. Yeah, just a little more green in there. Gonna spread it around a little bit more. Now, you gotta be careful if you, it's up to you. If you spread too much, two colors will integrate together. I kind of like them integrating a little bit together and still being separate. So I'm letting some of this run down. Let's see if I could get some nice drips, because that's always really cool. Maybe I'll go a little bit this way and down. So play with this to a point where you like it. You might want to pool up some of these colors, because you can see the more I move it around, the colors are starting to integrate more. So I like it lighter, in a few areas darker. You can pool up some colors, down at an edge if you like. And I'm going to just add a little more blue to some of the edges, so it's like almost like a container that's holding my thoughts. I'm going to see how this goes on its own. Might have to bring the big paintbrush back in to just soften it a little bit. I like sort of the salt streaking down there. It's kind of cool. Okay, and I'm going to let it dry that way, because sometimes if I touch it too much, I feel like it'll just merge together. So I'm going to leave that one there. So what you'll do with this piece, now it could be smaller, it doesn't have to be so big, but I'm going to show you a few that I did last night. So I let that dry thoroughly. You could just lay it flat. If you have a watercolor pad, keep it in the pad, because as the top edge of the pad is glued, watercolor paper will naturally buckle because you're using water. So I just leave it in the pad until I'm done with the whole process. But I want to show you a few I did last night as samples. So what I did was then I took my intention. So I'll show you this first one, the first two. And you could make up your own intention, or even if you see a quote from someone, you can use their quote. So these are ones I made up last night. Co-creation is a living artistic process. Co-create timelines of love, beauty, and light. And you could sign your name. So I just used a regular Sharpie. I picked magenta because I thought it was a nice contrast. It's one of the opposite colors from the green with the blue. If you have, there's calligraphy markers. If you have that, you could use it. And you don't do the writing until your work is completely dry, which with watercolor, it's dry fairly quickly. It depends on how much water you use. You want to make sure it's completely dry before you put it in though. But it's so simple and so beautiful. And I'm going to show you the ones down here. These are a little lighter. And I like how the colors kind of seep through. They're dreamlike. This is a quote by Oriah Mountain Dreamer. The world is a co-creation woven into a collective dream. I captured that one for you, Jocelyn.
I love that.
Yeah, that's a pretty one that she wrote. And here's another one. I co-create art and my life values into a living masterpiece. And you could sign your name. You take ownership you know, so you could say, I am, show me the way if you want more divine resource to come in with you. So you can then cut these out. If you have those specialty scissors, my son has a pair. It could also make a really nice card for someone, or if it means a lot to you, put it in a place that you see it every day, right by your computer, maybe by a mirror when you wake up in the morning. So you want to be able to see this so you're taking it in too. Sometimes I leave little messages in my sock drawer. There's something like, I will listen to my intuition. My intuition is good, but listening to my intuition, I had like little signs all throughout my house. So it's just a very beautiful and simple way that you can experience this co-creation with the divine.
Yes.
So I hope you enjoyed that.
So beautiful. I love this, Leslie. I have to go now to get some watercolor
You'll
paint
get some.
here.
Yeah, you could find them sometimes even in your dollar store if you
Yeah.
have one by you.
So I would love to hear from everybody. How did it go for you? What came through? What if you would like to write your intention in the chat? That would be wonderful. If anybody did create something so far, we would love to see it. You could raise your hand and come on video. We can do maybe a couple people sharing in that
I
way.
want to hear from you. Raise your hand
And
if you have a question about
yeah,
any question, whether it's about a mindset issue as you were watching, or as you were starting the creative process, or a mindset issue you might have about the creative process. It could be a question that you might have regarding the supplies or the process itself and the technique. So any questions that you might have, please raise your hand. Don't be shy.
yes, or put it in the chat. We can't take as many shares from hand raises because it takes a little longer, but we'll take a couple if people want to share their image. But questions in the chat, please, everybody. So Louisa said, mine was acrylic, so I was a bit critical because it wasn't flowing, so it wasn't water-based.
Yes, you have to, yes, because it's acrylic. Acrylic is plastic-based. So you need watercolor for this particular process, water-based, watercolor, or even ink. That's water-based.
Yes. So it will just turn out differently, Louisa. I'm sure you can create something really beautiful that way as well. It will just turn out. It won't be the flowing.
Yes, it'll flow. It might not spread because of the salt water, but you can get the flow with acrylic and water as well. Yeah.
Cool. And Ruthie says, I'm still play painting.
Good. It's fun, right?
And Valerie is raising her hand. So Valerie, let me bring you over to share. Welcome, Valerie. You should be able to unmute now. There we go. Hi.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Hi, just put the video on maybe. Yeah.
Hi, Valerie.
Hi,
Hey.
welcome.
How are you?
Thank you. Thank you very much. It was great. I just had a question. I was trying to I have a little thing with watercolors, is that I'm a bit afraid to let go with it.
Oh, it's so simple. Just this whole little thing is about letting go. So just like breathe. Yeah. Just breathe. Think of these as sketches. Because sometimes when we first begin, we just tighten up. We're like, it's got to be perfect. You want to see mine right now? It's just like, it's like there's a certain amount of control and there's a certain amount of letting go. And I've got avocado on my watercolor pad.
Yeah.
So I mean, this wasn't like a very controlled experience. Just allow yourself. So first, think of it as water. Think of it as, when you first are just bathing your watercolor paper with the paint, just, leave some little white spaces. Just breathe.
I don't think I was putting enough water on it. I kind of ended up having to kind of spray some water on it. I don't know if you can see.
Let's see if I can see.
Oh, here, hold on.
Okay, I see it. Very nice.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, I like that. That's beautiful.
But
And I like how some of the edges, you stayed away from the edge. I mean, you could make this entire thing, all the edges fall out. But what's nice about this is if you make it kind of cloudy, it's keeping it like a thought form or intention, almost like a thought bubble. You know, it's a little vignette.
yeah.
Do you have another piece of paper? Watercolor
Yeah.
paper?
Yeah.
Just keep going, Valerie. Do another one. Or you
Yeah.
could do like I did, or take your little pad and break it up in two.
Yeah.
You know, so
I think what I
did.
was doing, I wasn't putting enough water. I think I wasn't putting enough water on the page to start with. And it
Okay.
was spreading, and it wasn't spreading. But then maybe I was being not liberal enough with it, and not.
Okay. So I just want to
Yeah.
show you when you bring up your paintbrush, you know, you see this paintbrush, you want
Yeah.
it to be loaded.
Dripping.
And
Okay.
yeah. And so you don't want, it's a fine line, because if you have too much water and it pools and the whole thing is pooled, you know, on top, imagine, I'm exaggerating by saying like an inch. If there's too much water, all the color will merge together. So you want certain pools here and there, you know?
Yeah.
Where are you calling from, Valerie?
I'm in Ireland.
Oh, you're in
Ireland.
Maryland?
Ireland.
Oh, Ireland. Okay.
Yeah.
That's where some of my ancestry's from. So think of it like the coastline, little pockets of the rocks and the scrub, and some is sand, and just pool it all around.
Okay. Okay. We'll give it another
Okay.
shot. Thank you.
Do it again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Thursday.
Think of them as little sketches. You're playing. Think of it as playing. Okay.
Thank you.
Valerie, thanks for coming on.
Thanks for representing my ancestors, Valerie.
No problem. You're more than welcome.
Have a beautiful day, Valerie.
You too, Justin. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, and Christine, and too. So Christine, bring you over in a minute, but let's address a question in the chat. So Lynn says, what do you think about using watercolor pencils? Is there a good brand of those?
There's some really great brands. Yeah, there's some great brands of watercolor pencil. You can use the pencil. I haven't experimented with how the pencil would work in this saltwater resist, but it might be interesting that if you pool the salt water, and then you'll get a lot more texture, which could be very beautiful, you know, with a pencil. Also, depending on where you put the pencil and how you're dragging it across the paper, you might see some more texture. Some of it, I know, just pools up and disintegrates. Play with that too. And send it to Jocelyn, and then so I can see it.
Is there a brand you recommend for pencils?
I think there's a new brand that I do not have. I think it's called Veerholt or no, Inktense watercolor pencils. Everybody's talking about them. I do not have a set yet.
How do you spell
I might go out and buy one. They're supposed to be beautiful. Yeah, I have a very old set from years ago that I'm still using.
Inktense?
I think that's how it's spelled. Inktense. Yes.
Okay, I'm just putting that in the chat as your one recommendation. And Sarah also said Caran d'Ache, I guess, as a brand.
Caran d'Ache, yes.
Caran d'Ache, okay.
Yes, there's watercolor crayon. Those are also nice, Ruthie. Yeah, they're beautiful. So they're more almost like, yeah, like a crayon. They feel a little bit waxier. They're thicker, so it's not like a pencil thin line. And so it could be, you know, a little bit more textural, and it could really be expressive in the background. So what I kept it soft so that you could see the words on top for the intention, because we're talking about intentional creativity. So if you do that and you're noticing that the pencil or the crayon is very textural, you might leave it, you know, towards the outsides so you could see your words in the middle. But play with it. Do a test like I did. This is the best way to figure it out, you know. You could test it a few times and you get a sense how much water, where should I add more, where should I hold back some, what texture's working, what colors are working. You might try different, you know, pen colors or ink colors, and then do one large one, you know. They're pretty quick. Mm-hmm.
So Christine is raising her hand too. Christine, let me bring you over now. And Lynn asked, do we need watercolor paper? Is the watercolor paper an important ingredient here? I guess it would be to be able to handle the amount of the water, right?
Yes, water, it's going to soak it up. You really do want watercolor paper or something that's thick enough and absorbent.
Hi, Christine.
Hi,
Welcome.
Christine.
Hi. Thank you for a beautiful process.
Thank you for being here.
Yeah, so I wanted to share, I don't know if you can see it.
Cool. Cool. You went in a circle. I like all those little white bits.
Yeah, it was.
And I like all those little bits on the outside, and, nice and soft. Very nice. It's got a little rose kind of flare to it. Super pretty. And so what is your
and I asked for a co-creation for creating a brand for the pregnant couples that I'm serving where I live.
Oh, beautiful. That would make a beautiful
This
image.
is for the pregnant.
I love it.
Yeah.
How beautiful.
So,
you could use that and put your type right in there.
Yeah, and also wanted to
many years as a graphic designer, so I see your idea right there.
Oh, beautiful. And I add some lady's mantle and dandelion to the water because
how
nice.
I
felt yeah.
Use dandelion. What was the other?
Beautiful.
What was the other thing you added to the water? Christine, I didn't hear that you added two things to the water.
Yeah, my connection is a bit unstable. I added lady's mantle and dandelion.
Lady's mantle and dandelion. Love it.
Where are you located, Christine?
In Sweden.
Sweden.
Okay.
I'm just wondering, was that the avocado influence? So you decided to, it's a really very nice idea.
No, I did it before. I did it when I made the water. I was just like called to pick some things from here. Yeah, from the ground.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
So I'm curious because I haven't tried the salt water with an essential oil, but that's really wonderful. Yeah, add something in from nature.
Yeah.
Make it part of the process too.
Exactly. But I wonder, we weren't supposed to ask questions, but I can't see the salt in the painting. Will it appear later, or is it just
no? I think what's happening, I mean, there's different ways you can add salt in a painting, and you can look them up on YouTube. They're quite beautiful. But because the salt is mixed in the water, it's diluted. So it should not, in this process, it won't, you won't see it. But there's other processes where, and you could try this too, where you put down the water and then you could throw actual table salt on top of it, and it does more texture. You know, there's lots of really beautiful ways you could play with that.
Yeah, I would love to try that.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Beautiful. Thank you, Christine.
Thank you. Thanks for sharing.
Beautiful rest of your day.
Same to you.
Yeah, hers is so beautiful. Amazing. We have a question. Let's see, where did it go? Okay, so MB, I'm not sure your full name, but MB is saying, do you have any suggestions for how to allow this process to help with blocks with work? And she says, doodling, playing with color is my natural way of being, but my job is with computers. I feel restricted in my creation with computers, and I'm trying to bring creativity into it.
Yeah. I hear you, girl, because I'm on the system all the time. So yeah, so I think starting with your intention first, you know, what is it? Are you wanting to have more of a creative, expressive life separately from work, which it sounds like you do, and also how you can integrate the creativity into your computer work and problem solving, which is a good one. So I say, go to your paints, girl. And certainly I'd love to talk to you about it, which I had also wanted to mention to folks if they'd like to have a breakthrough call with me, a Mojo breakthrough call. I do that for free. It's about 50 minutes. And you could schedule that at mojo.as.me. But again, there's something about when you're using words and you're using image and you're doing that outside of work, it helps you problem solve when you're then in work. Because it's those neurotransmitters in your mind. The more you're learning something new and creating new connections, left brain, right brain, left brain, right brain. Just like I said, the weave in the painting into yourself, out. It's the same thing with your computer work will help you problem solve. So I know that I had a tech issue with my email, and it was one of those things where I called Apple, who said, call your service provider, who said, call GoDaddy, who said, call your service provider, who said, call Apple. And I'm like, you guys are all pointing fingers. And all of a sudden I just said, what if I do it this way? I solved it myself. They didn't help me. It was 2 phone calls. I made the suggestion on how to solve the problem. You know, sometimes you have to go through that, but it helps you, you know, in those frustrating times of computer work and tech work or any problem, really.
Very good. Thank you.
Mhm.
Let's see. Well, let's do one more share because we have Louisa with her hand raised.
Okay.
So welcome over, Louisa. And once you come over here, then you'll be able to turn on your video and your sound. So go ahead and unmute, Louisa.
Start video. Hello.
Hi, how are you?
Hello, how are you doing, Leslie?
How are you doing?
I'm good, yeah, I'm good. I just use the acrylics because mine.
Let me see how the acrylics look. Can you bring a little closer? So acrylics are plastic based. So the lighter colors, I don't know if they're resisting. Did you use just 2 colors, Louisa?
Yeah.
I like that. I see figures
Yeah.
in there. We've got extra symbols. I like that. So,
Yeah.
I like that.
I mean, the salt had an effect. I can see the salt had an effect. So yeah, yeah, it was good. I'm very in touch with my inner child at the moment, so everything I do is amazing as far as I'm concerned.
I like that. I like it. And I see the inner child right in the middle of the painting. It almost looks like the image from the other lady who had the embryonic kind of circle.
Wow.
So I think you should do another one. And yeah, so I would use those colors more muted. You see how you have some of the darker on the inside. Keep that as it is, because I think that's very important to you as a symbol. And you can still put the words. They don't have to be down the middle. They could be, you know, wrapping around the lighter areas, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
And, so it's interesting to see that it somewhat works with the acrylic and there's somewhat of a resist. So where you put your words, you want to be a little bit lighter, but wrap your words all around that and integrate what healing you need for your inner child work that you're doing right now. Do you feel brave enough to share your intention? I'd like to hear some people's, you know, intention.
Yeah. I said I'm co-creating my truth and I want to share my truth with others. And that's
beautiful. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Where are you located, Louisa?
I'm in northwest of Ireland, Donegal.
Yes.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
These Irish girls, yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you. Bye.
Have a beautiful day.
You too. You too.
Thanks.
I have fond memories, Jocelyn, of surfing, being one of the first American women surfing off in La Hinch off the coast of, where were we? the Cliffs of Moher.
Oh, wow.
And I was with my family traveling. We went to a wedding there. I was with my family and we all fought so horribly. At this point. I'm like, good surfing. That's all I wanted to do. I wanted to say I surfed Ireland. And everywhere I went was flat, flat, flat. And then I finally found this surf shack in, I think it was Lahinch. And the guy said, oh, I don't think you're in luck today. I'm like, you know what? My surf kahuna mentor would say, get in the water. You got this far. So I'm like, I got to get wet. I'm going to just, take this rental board and go out into the water. And this is a co-creation moment. I'm just thinking about it. This is perfect. So as I paddled out, the waves crested and built up for me. And he said, Leslie, I've never seen anything like it. As you were paddling out, you got this beautiful set came up. So for the rest of the afternoon, I think I surfed twice that morning and then that afternoon. It was as if they knew I was there and that's what I wanted to do.
Wow.
It was just beautiful.
That's so amazing.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Thanks, you Irish girls. It's nice to see you.
Yeah, definitely. All the Irish energy was here with us today. So beautiful.
Yeah.
Wow. Amazing. Well, thank you for this, Leslie. This has been so fun and inspiring. And so anyone who watched this and wasn't able to do it right away for any reason, definitely get those supplies, which are very simple and easy to get, and try it when you have a little time. You can come back to this video. So yeah, amazing. Thank you, Leslie. I can't wait to try it too. I wrote my intention in my journal, but I didn't have the other supplies yet. So
what was your intention, Jocelyn?
It's long. I always write a lot, but I'm going to rewrite it on watercolor paper.
Okay.
It was, what I said earlier, basically.
That's beautiful. And you could do that, you could get, there's all sorts of watercolor block paper, Jocelyn, my screen isn't big enough to show you. Get big ones. I mean, you can create that as a very big piece.
Okay.
And I also suggest getting a smaller pad and just, practicing these little ones so you could get a sense of the style and texture and how dark you want to go and how it pulls up. Yeah. And that would be lovely. And you can put it in with pencil or ink afterwards, or you can use marker. Make it yours.
Yeah. Very cool.
I see someone in there. It sounds very Irish. Everyone is fighting families. Yeah. And I am a bit of a mutt. So the Irish side's on my father's side. Yeah. Yes. But it was a beautiful time. Very beautiful country.
Amazing. Well, and so everyone, keep an eye out also for future notices, because as I mentioned, we're going to have Leslie in July. She's going to be in the Aquarian Wisdom Stargate, which is going to be the next steps after this festival. So keep an eye out, and we'll do even more deeper work with Leslie then. So Leslie, could you share with us a little bit about any other projects or programs that you have coming up or that you're offering, and where can people find out?
Yes, I'm designing a program called Bloom, and it's really called about, being awakening to the possibilities in your life. And that's this Saturday. It's a full day workshop. It's $297, and you could contact me through Leslie at leslienolandesign.com. I also have a free ebook that is the Creative Entrepreneur's Guide to Getting Your Mojo Back, and you can download that for free through my website, which is leslienolandesign.com. And once you're on my email list, you'll get updates of other talks that I might do, or be on my blog for more information. My real deep work is one-on-one mentorship for those who are called to that work. We usually work together 4, 6, 9 months to a year. And it's really about stepping into your full power and what it is that you want to create in your work and in your life. Yes.
Beautiful.
So thank you. And thank you, Jocelyn, for the opportunity to share.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for all that you shared here. And everybody as well, Leslie is offering a beautiful free gift, which is How to Get Your Mojo Back, a Creative Entrepreneur's Guide. So I'm going to put that in the chat here too. And if you are watching this as a recording later, just scroll down a little bit below the video and you will see the button there. Would you like to say a few words about that as well, Leslie?
The guide,
Yes.
it'll talk a little bit more about all the steps for setting an intention, the 5 keys to set an intention. And I'll tell a little bit about my story and how I came back to painting after years of being in graphics and marketing. And now this is, my calling, being a creativity coach and sharing this methodology with other creatives in the world so that you can get your creative on.
Yay. Wonderful. Thank you so much, Leslie, for all that you do and for all that you shared with us here today. It was really wonderful.
Thank you. Thank you, Jocelyn, for having me.
Yeah, thank you. And so thank you to everybody who's on live with us. Be sure to come back in about, 43 minutes. We're going to be speaking with Chris Bocci on the topic of LSD and the mind of the universe. So he's a university professor who I believe it was in Connecticut. He was a professor, but at the same time he was doing these deep dive LSD journeys to find out more about human consciousness and our purpose and why are we here. He learned a lot about reincarnation, so it's really powerful. I can't wait to speak with him. So that'll be at 11 a.m. Eastern time. So be sure to come back to this same Zoom link or the same YouTube channel that you're watching on now, and I'll see you all back then.
Thank you, Jocelyn.
Thanks again, Leslie. Much
Bye.
love.
Bye.